Welcome back to the channel. In this video we're going to be building the I16 Type 24 in 1/48 scale from Eduard. This is a Profipack kit and it comes with the plastic model. We've also got photo-etch and a mass set for the canopy as well. We're going to be doing this Barbarossa aircraft and we're going to take the scheme that's at the top there. We've got two alternative slogans running down the side, and it's from 1941. And this was a build I wanted to do. I do one each year, or multiple builds even sometimes, for Barbarossa to sort of tie in with when that was going on 80 plus years ago. Now you can see the decals and the masks. Now I've built a few of these before, so I know there's a couple of areas that we can improve on. First off is cutting out the moulded on door, and I'm just using my razor saw here for that and just being very gentle. I'm really just using the razor saw to make a mark and use it to start cutting down the sides of the door, and then I'll use some actual cutters to cut out the main plastic because the saw isn't very strong. Again, with the cutters you want to be careful because they're not massively strong either. You just want to go little and often with your cutting, and then that means you won't damage the plastic around it either, and we want to keep everything nice and in line. There you are, I'm just cutting it down in stages. Now we're back with a blade. Try and get in there a bit better. And once we're starting to get somewhere near it and we've got it cut out, I just cut out one side, leave it on the other side. We got the gap. And then on the photo etch fret there is a photo etch piece which can be used as a door. Now we've got some interior detail as well. And there's a little bit of editing we can do to the interior as well, so we can add some detail with a few scratch built bits and pieces, bit of wire here and there, but we can also change the cockpit floor as well and a few implements around that. First off we're going to just glue in from the inside the exhausts, and that can be a little bit tricky, so I put some glue there first just to make the plastic tacky, just so it holds it, otherwise it will fall through, because we've got to put two exhausts through this top section here. And you want to check the instructions because some have two, some have one, and it's important to get them right. And they look pretty good from the outside. We just want to straighten them up. They come with that hollowed out angle, so that's good. You don't have to worry about drilling them out too much. And with a little bit of fiddling, it's starting to look the part now. Just trying to straighten them up. Now this is the cockpit floor. It's not totally accurate. It should be narrower, and you should see around the side of the cockpit floor. It's not right across the span of the fuselage. So I just saw this off again with the trusty saw. Just following those grooves where they're kind of where you rest your feet. And just cut along there and down. Nice simple stuff. Nice little simple upgrade this. And that's what we're looking for. We want to do that on both sides. And with a little bit of cleanup, it looks just the part. Then we've got some of the photo etched parts on the inside there. And I'm going to spray them up with XF14 from the Tamiya acrylic range. This will be thinned with Mr. Leveling thinners as well from Guns or Mr. Hobby. It's just a kind of nice greeny grey, and although I've just shown you there how I did actually spray it up, that was the wrong colour. The real colour that I ended up using is XF12, and that's what you should use for this build. It's much more the right colour. And then the cockpit floor section is actually a different colour, so I'm going to use XF13. It's a dark green. And just get that sprayed up again, thinned with the same thinner. not too much paint in the cup. I'm just trying to show you a bit more of the painting here. Important to note, there's no primer here. So this is the Tamiya colours straight onto the plastic. I don't get any problems with this. And it's fine certainly for areas that are going to be actually inside the model, like the cockpit. If you're going to have a lot of handling, it's probably best to use a primer, especially on the exterior of a model. And that painted up, it's a nice finish, as you can see, really smooth, straight on. Just got to paint up some of the leather work, and now we'll pick out some of the details on the side of the cockpit walls. You've got the instrument panel, a few other green bits that go onto the grey, so just spray them up separately within the same green, and it's a good way of getting that stark difference. If you try and glue them on and then try and paint it, you'll never get it quite as precise as that. I've just got some old fly fishing lead wire here, and I'm just going to use it to put some wires in to show where some of this is going, because you can see a little bit down the side of the cockpit. You can't see very much. For the instrument panel, I don't know what angle you need to get at. You can't see it at all. It's so deep forward in the cockpit, so I wouldn't spend a huge amount of time on that, but you can see around the side of the seat and down the side of the curved fuselage halves. So it's worth putting a little bit of detail there, and because this wiring is yellow, or I paint it yellow, it stands out as well. And you can see both sides of the fuselage there. And now we're on to the instrument panel. Now again, you don't need to spend a lot of time on this. I do this just to show you the technique I use, which is PVA glue, to make it that glue come through the bezel, so when it dries off it looks like actual glass. But you really can't see this. So obviously, you know, if you enjoy doing this sort of stuff, then give it the detail, and I do, and of course in the next one I do exactly the same, especially if I'm filming it. But it's a nice big instrument panel on the I16. And again, this is all out of the box, so everything you see here comes in the box, apart from obviously the wiring. You can see it starting to dry off there, and when it does, it gives a glassy look. Now it's now it's on to seat belts. Again, these are in the kit. Nice little touch. So just glue them on the side and try and bend them in naturally. They always end up sort of looking like they've been nicely laid out. It's quite difficult to make them look natural, but if you can twist them up, and that helps. And then we've got this section as well that goes on, just gets glued on at 2 points there underneath the leather work that's been painted in. And you can see now, it's a nice touch. Just waiting for a little bit of weathering. And we're ready to start bringing it all together to get that weathering done. There's the yellow and black wiring being painted up as well. So for this we're going to use some enamel washes, Starship Streaking and Starship Wash, with a little bit of odorless thinners. And it's simple stuff really, just mix some into the thinners and wet it up to create a wash, and just let it run on around there, let it dry back, and then just kind of manipulate it into the areas that you want it to go. Simple stuff. We're not going to town on this one necessarily. We're just going to try and get this build all done. Nice sort of quick build. In reality it took over a year, but in probably hours spent on it, you could probably do it in a couple of weeks, just in evening sessions, maybe one weekend session. Nice simple kit, no messing about really. So we just dirty up the inside now, give it a good wash. And now it's dried off, you can see what we got there. And I've manipulated it around a little bit, so I do over accentuate it. If you're just going to display all these pieces individually on their own, I'd do a little bit more work, but because it's going to be quite deep down in a cockpit with not much of an opening, you need to kind of go over the top a little bit to push the details. It's a good little trick to do. Again, that's using reds and yellows for wiring and buttons. Use a bit of a brighter colour because it will show when you're looking down in a tiny little hole with no other light source. It's all well and good looking at the minute, but as soon as you've got the wing on, there's no light in there at all apart from what comes around the cockpit opening. So it's important to spend a bit of time to try and improve that if you can. Now I'm just gluing up the back section here with some Tamiya extra thin just to get that glued together and let that go off overnight, and then I can get the cockpit up and under whilst I've still got the front section open. But because you've got to get the rear, the piece behind the seat, or the back of the seat goes up against the actual aircraft frame, and it's easy to get that in the wrong place if you try and glue it into one side and then glue the other half around it. So this is a much better way of going about this. That's what I've found anyway. We've actually glued up the front section there as well because we can get to it from the inside. So you can do both bits, which means you can help with the join as well. If you've got, you can do your seam work before you actually put the cockpit in. It stops all the dust going into the actual cockpit, and where you've done a bit of weathering, the dust gets stuck in and around the details. You can see I'm fumbling it a little bit here, but you can see how the back of the seat goes in flush there. And this is highlighting issues that we created ourselves by cutting that floor out, because the floor is meant to wedge in between. But as soon as you get it right and squared up, it's no problem. I just put quite a lot of super glue in the section underneath where that join is, and you've still got the front part of the cockpit floor that's used to rest on the the bottom of the wing. And there you can see, it's simple as that. It's pretty much together. You just got to work on some seam lines and get the tailplane built up. Now this join is quite nice, and you can work on it better and better as you go forward. You want to make sure it's level at the top and joined at the front, because if you get it slightly out, you're going to get steps, and then that back section's very easy to fill. So I do all your work on the top, making sure that the top section of the wing and the join to the fuselage wing root is level and flush, and then you can fix the bottom seam a lot easier, and of course it's on the bottom, so it's not as important. There you can see not much of an issue. There aren't many panel lines. I've got a feeling the polycarbonate is mainly wood, laminated wood into metal parts on the wing. I've just put a plasticard fillet in the back there as well where that join was. I'm just going to sand that back now flush, and then we'll see what we're dealing with once we get through that. There was a little bit more work needed there, so I've put some filler over that. Just let that go off. I think that's Mr. Dissolve Putty. Oh, it's Mr. White Putty. There we are. It was like I knew I was going to get it wrong. I'm just trying to preserve those ribs there and sand around them, but I think in the end I did actually have to take them off and put some sprue strips on there, I think. It's probably the better way to go. Is always tricky sanding around some detail. Oh no, there you go. I kind of got away with it, and you can see that's pretty good. They're meant to be the flaps anyway, so you're going to score a line back across there so that you can see where the flaps are. And this is Mr. Surfacer Black 1500, just using this to check the seams. Got the cockpit all covered now, and we're checking the wing, the leading edge of the wing, where that join is, where all the other joins are around the cowling there. Just make sure there's no seam lines showing. Give it a day or two if you've got the time. I think I let this one sit for a week or two because I was working on other projects, and you'll find that over time these seams will reappear, and it's then that you want to fill them. And if once you've actually done the join with the hot glues that we use, you can actually just do some of that top work with super glue or something like that, and then you'll know it won't shrink back. So if you've left it for a few days or a week or something and you have got some shrinkage, then going on with a different type of filler that doesn't shrink, good way of then pushing on with the project. And you can see it is a very small little aircraft, very likeable. It's a favourite of many modelers, the Polycarpov I16. And with the rest of the parts added, the cowling on, the tailplane on, and we're looking at the actual front there that holds the engine, and we've got some of the gun barrels gone on. I'm just looking at parts that I can improve. So we've got those two parts there that I always thought they were gun barrels, and they might well be. There might be a gun that's mounted near the engine for firing through the propellers. Oh, there probably is. That's what those grey sections on the top that I've glued in are. So I replace a lot of this with Albion Alloys metal rod, but we're just showing you there how some of the joints are looking. I'm pretty much there now, ready to get into primer. I've glued the landing gear on because it's not going to cause us an issue. It just helps with the model. It's quite finicky, so you might as well get that done before you get the paint in. And then it's time to start thinking about what colours we're going to use. And from the MRP range, I've got A2G there, which is MRP 24. That's the underside colour. Fantastic colour, really strong blue. It blocks out on this black very easily. It's surprising for the colour that it is. It's extremely dense as a colour. I guess I'm meant to be using saturation, but it's a very strong colour and it goes on in one good clear coat. And of course you can do your kind of black basing, or you can do a bit of mottling, and I do try to do some of that as well and show through some of the details of the actual model. And there you can see how strong that colour looks now it's on. It's a really lovely colour. Sort of bang on for the Soviet aircraft as well. It's kind of what you think of when you see Soviet aircraft. So I'm really happy with that colour. And then the top colour similarly is A2 or I guess it's A2 or AII3 green, which is MRP 23. And that gives us a really nice colour, both top and bottom. Looks the part, nice solid kit, nice bit of demarcation there. And it's a simple scheme, green and blue, no messing around, no issues. Paint up a few of the other details as well, and then just double checking those seam lines, especially because we're in gloss here. And you will see there's some divots here and there, but that all goes away when you're in the matte coat. And once that's all sorted, it's over to getting the decals on. So here I'm just putting on some micro set. And this is straight over the MRP because it's got a glossy surface. There's no need to put a gloss coat on or a matte coat or anything, whatever you prefer putting your decals onto. It's a very hard surface, and I'm very pleased with the surface that the MRP leaves. Now I really just focus on this large decal here for showing you how I go about it. because the rest of it, the stars and all that, are fine. Although I do get a little bit of silvering on the 2 stars on the top of the wing. In the worst place, it wouldn't have mattered if it was underneath or somewhere else, but that was just poor husbandry, if you like, from me. I should have prepped the surface, I should have looked after it a bit more, and should have done a little bit more around the decals, and I didn't, but you can barely see it towards the end. But this large decal, my intention was to get rid of, so you can't see the carrier film, because you can see it's just a block. Where the free and the sort of C are, it's above the carrier film, but other than that, it's just a large sort of rectangle block. And I was quite pleased come the end that I got that mostly hidden. You can't really see it, only in a couple angles. And that was just by using a bit of gloss over the top, sanding it back, and then matting it down. But for decal placement, you really want to get it in the right place, use whatever setting solution it is, get that underneath it, and then push it out with a damp cotton bud like I'm doing there, and then just leave it, let it set. If you can, tilt the aircraft so that gravity's helping with you as well, and then just give it time. Make sure it's got micro set all the way around it and underneath it, and then just let that go off. And it will bed down nicely. So then I overcoat that with a gloss and then a matte the whole aircraft down, get all the last few bits on, bobs on, and here we are. And again, this is a build that's yet another year since what you just saw to now, and it's time to finish it off. And what I noticed is I did not have the Venturi tube, so I had to go and get that from somewhere. So here I'm just brushing off the dust and cleaning up the airframe, ready for prepping. So if you have left a model for a little while, then this is something you want to plan to do. You don't want any dust, you don't want anything like that, any debris or anything that's built up. So I'm just going in with a microfiber cloth now as well to pick out some of that extra dust. And we'll get on to putting the extra details on. So as I said, we've got to tackle this Venturi tube, and the best way around that, it comes in the kit but I lost it, is to get some 3D printed ones, and this is from MH Models, and I got these off of Super Hobby in Poland, where I buy a few bits and bobs, and I always find delivery to the UK is no problem. So we're going to be using the ones that are at the bottom there, but we've got a few different types, and probably enough there for the rest of my modelling life. So there we are, that's me sorted. And that's again the beauty of 3D printing. You know, sometimes I can seem a bit critical on 3D printing, but there's some things that it is absolutely perfect for, and this is one of them. I'm not sure how else you'd go about making this. It'd be a nightmare doing them in resin, and very difficult to scratch build. And I was very pleased that they were on the market. So just a bit of clean up there. And that's when you pick it up with your tweezers and it pings across the room. But that didn't happen here. And I just paint that up again with the MRP colour, matte it down, and then glue it on right at the end. But I do just want to clean those edges up a little bit, and I just need to kind of only just pull that back across once, and that would be enough to clean that little attachment point. So I just had to fix it into the tweezers enough that I could get that enough purchase. And with that all taken care of now, I just wanted to do a very simple bit of weathering here, and I've just gone round a lot of the panel lines and the raised details with streaking grime, just to put it on there heavily, and then I've come back on with odorless thinners and moved it about in the way I want. And then just work that back. I've used some wide brushes, I've used some cotton buds, and just moved it around until I was happy, and then I've run with that to finish the model, and I was very pleased with it. So I'll just show you me just doing a little bit of that here. And this starts to tie up the video, so I'll be leaving you with some photos shortly, but as always I just wanted to thanks for watching through to the end. Hopefully you're enjoy this build video, and it's a nice kind of it's just a nice reminder of the Barbarossa operation on the Soviet side. It's always shown from the German side, but it's nice to see it from the actual Soviet side as well. This is an important little aircraft for the Soviet forces, and a very interesting one as well. It stays with a lot of people. It's a very popular model, and the Eduard kit is nice. It's been around a bit. It's got a very nice profile, I find, this plane. If you look at it from the sort of back 3/4 looking forward, it's got a really nice nice look to it. But as always, let me know your thoughts down below in the comments. If you haven't already, do consider liking, subscribing, following the channel. There's ways you can support the channel in the description box below. Thanks for watching, and I'll see you in the next video.